only 100%ers since the turn of the year. 5 wins in a row now, maximum points banked, seemingly hurtling towards the playoffs. However, before we kick off, we're going to have a moment to reflect on the short life of Harlequins player Seb Adeniran Alule. It is 3 years now since he died in a car crash. He was only 20, but his presence at the club still felt. Today's game has been dedicated to Seb and the foundation that's been set up in his name by his mum, Liz. She hopes the foundation will help give children from less privileged backgrounds the chances in life that they might not normally have got. This applause will be for the memory of a fine young man. You knew Seb, you trained with him, played with him.
Yeah, an outstanding talent taken from us far too soon. It was a lovely touch to see the players that do know him and the ones that don't. James Hall, as he came out of the change room, was a plaque just there. He tapped it just in honour to him. Lovely to see the minutes applause.
First time that Wayne Barnes has been here in the Premiership this season. Hamish Mayles and Paul Dix with the
Wayne,
flags.
got you loud and clear. Go well, mate.
That's the voice of David Rose, the TMO. And on a blustery old Sunday in the southwest of the capital, a huge Gallagher Premiership game. It's 3rd against 4th. It is Harlequins against, in the white today, Gloucester.
James. Okay, time you run, fellas.
And Danny Cipriani. Wind, if anything, is blowing across the pitch. It's a westerly, really. So over our shoulders towards that stand on the far side, and you can see it carrying the ball towards the east stand.
But it wasn't just the wind on that occasion, it was also the sunshine. You see Danny Cipriani put his hands in the air just to block out the sun. Watching the 9s and the 10s kick beforehand, it's so random where this wind is going. Going to be really tough to manage.
A real test for the throwers as well. First job for James. Oh, goodness me. We will reserve criticism of throwing and kicking until we've worked out just how serious this wind is, Nick.
It was brave to go to the tail early on. They knew Harlequins would be marking the front because of the wind.
An important tackle from Tom Marshall. This is Lewis Boyce. Only his second Premiership start of the season against Bath last weekend. The club he'll be joining next season, and here's the hooker, Elia. Lang at 10. He's preferred at 10 at the moment to Marcus Smith. The coaches feel he brings a little bit more control right now, which particularly on a day like today will be that much more important.
He certainly has done that, and without Danny Kerr being available as well, that needing for continuity, that control which they've had the last 5 games, which has fostered this confidence, he's playing very well.
On we go. The speculative pass from Joe Marchant. Not going directly to hands, but not going forwards either. And once again, head down, Boyce, but a little bit exposed there, and I think it was Jaco Creel who was over it quickly, but not quite quickly enough. And this is Clifford, replacement last weekend, starter today. Lang takes a step backwards, and Don Brandt wasn't far away. Instead, it's Marchant to Saili, and he does well to get the ball furthest wide to Nathan Earl. a real feature of the opening 10 minutes against Bath last weekend that Quins monopolised possession. They were so comfortable, so efficient in possession. That looked like a deliberate knock-on.
Oh, just play a knock-on.
Picked up by Rob Shaw.
Deliberate knock-on. Deliberate knock-on.
Deliberate knock-on.
Just got to see the footwork of Francis Saeli once again. It's the second time he's got the ball in his hands, and just his ability to step from in to out and drag in that last defender. It puts that element of doubt into Tom Marshall's mind. We'll get to see a replay in a second. It's a definite deliberate knock-on.
That was 14 by Marshall.
Well, this here, steps into out, just taking up that outside channel. Marshall certainly not looking to defend a man there. Right arm swinging at the ball when he's shouting at 12 trees because he wants him to get a little bit wider to nullify the threat of Saeli.
Definitely wasn't looking to catch the ball, was he, with that speed of arm movement?
Elia again, testing this wind, and plucked out of the air by Horwell, quickly away by Dombrandt, and the crash ball move, and Saeli again will offer that muscular presence in the middle lane of the motorway, but that was lost forward, and Gloucester will have a scrum. That's Lewis Boyce.
Pretty good line to get over the gain line on the front foot with your forwards coming around the corner. And a rare error from Boyce. Just manages to knock the ball on.
First scrum.
It was a good opportunity now for Gloucester just to get a foothold into the game. The game's been running 4 minutes. They've had 2% possession of the ball. They certainly look to their scrum just to be able to give them a decent platform and get out their own half.
Crouch.
It's interesting to see Lewis Boyce holding on to that starting shirt. Joe Marler on the bench today, very heavyweight, experienced option.
Yeah, I think he had an injury, so Boyce came in, and it's difficult to change a winning team, and Harlequins have been going so well that Lewis Boyce makes himself hard to drop.
And Hines finding touch with the last breath. Early head injury against Bristol. We said it a week ago, really disrupted them as much as anything that Friday night at Ashton Gate. They lost some of the control, the zip that he brings when he's on the pitch.
He's an absolute quality player. I mean, Nick spoke about it before the game. If you want to win away from home, you need your 9 and 10 to function. And that kick there from Willie Hines is absolutely brilliant.
Here goes Dombrandt.
Off you come.
Busy and influential against Bath at the Rec.
Make sure you come off the ball.
And, once more Boyce, who's been busy early on. Again, Dombrandt laid up for Lang, and he goes over the top to Ross Chisholm. Tackled by Fraser Balmain, and again Dombrandt. I think the phrase is breakthrough season. I've used that an awful lot in reference to him over the last few months. Lang pushing it back to Marchant. So strong on that outside arc, and with the fend to try and get away from it as well, Hughes.
Yeah, he's really doing well off the shape which Harlequins are putting in. Lots of lead runners and players out of the back just to free him up, and he's always looking for that outside break. Got a big, strong left arm fend, and then he's looking to offload.
Lewis decides that it's time to kick and to test Jason Woodward, Gloucester's fullback. Early try against his old mates in Bristol last Friday.
No.
Honeck. Ben Morgan, what a season he is having. Not far away from winning February's Player of the Month award. He was just pipped to it by Rory Hutchinson.
Not to labour the point of Willie Hines, but just his control in terms of using his forward to set up this platform is all so deliberate to be able to, for him to be able to execute a very good box kick. Gloucester play the predominant amount of this game in their half, and it's so important. Kicks like that, which put pressure on Harlequins' backfield to be able to turn that into another attacking opportunity.
Yeah, we spoke about how difficult it is to kick in the wind. It's a lot worse trying to catch it when it's swirling around. You're not sure where it's going.
Morgan, Cipriani and Atkinson and Marshall with a bit of southwest London real estate to run into. Closed down by Chisholm, and then the big tackle coming in from Brown on Woodward. 15 on 15. No sense right now that Mike Brown's got a bit to prove. even more fizz at the top of the bottle than he normally has.
He's a lot better rugby player than he is someone watching the game.
Atkinson, here's Thorley. A name that will conjure fear in Premiership defences this season. This is Ruan Ackerman, one of those who agreed to an extended contract this week. And Slater neatly away to Morgan. Cipriani, the no-look pass to 12trees, and now Marshall. Woodward outside him. Oh, and Woodward has got through the defence, and he has gone through Mike Brown and over the try line, and Gloucester scored the first try.
Brilliant, patient approach play from Gloucester. All started from that Willie Hines exit. Mistake from Jack Clifford at the back of the pitch, and their ability and their shape and accuracy to be able to move the ball coast to coast. Threats right across the pitch. It was a great first tackle from Mike Brown. Jason Woodward clearly didn't like it because he gets another one-on-one with him. This is it here. Lovely delayed pass in behind. And then it's just about doing the simple things right, straightening up. And that's what you want to give. You want to give your back three players one-on-one. Because when you give them that opportunity, when they're given that chance, more often than not, they take it. You said he started well last week. Well, that is a brilliant bump. And then the acceleration, 3 in his last 4.
Yeah, Mike Brown will be angrier than normal at himself at that. Just got his head on the wrong side there. Really impressive timing of the passing as well as the accuracy of the passing from the Gloucester black line to give that one-on-one.
No real space issues, is there?
No, just that timing and recovery, then resetting.
No insurer right now would be interested in the right forefinger of Tom Marshall. That's the digit that's exposed, that's controlling the ball for Billy 12trees.
Any better?
Took his time, gave himself a long look at the posts and then spliced them, and Gloucester lead by 7.
Good kick, here we have another look. The last pass was a bit of a check pass out in front, but really good bounce, just lowers the centre of gravity. As we said, Mike Brown just gets his head slightly on the wrong side there, which makes him easier to bump off.
Jason Woodward's making a habit of scoring early. Did so a week ago at Ashton Gate, has done so here at the Stoop. Here's Ackerman. He's got plenty to offer over the remaining laps of this season after frustrating time out with injury.
Back you go, 2.
Elliott told us to retreat a little bit. Robshaw was on his marks, but not quite quick enough to disrupt Hines with again
inside,
the long and
inside,
very secure clearing kick.
Really good kick again from Hines. I was so impressed by how long he spent in the warm-up. He must have been 10-15 minutes on either side, just box kicking from both sides, kicking out, kicking in, just really weighing up that wind, weighing up the conditions, and just doing as much prep as he could before kick-off, and that prep paid off.
Tempo on the game. You asked about it, come on.
The last line at Harlequins won the ball at the front, gave a little dummy pass, held onto the ball to try and catch Gloucester offside. Must be something they've seen from Gloucester, up very, very quick off line out time.
Ball won by Matt Simmons.
Winger fine.
Lewis with the kick, taken by Thorley. Oh, he's running, shepherding around Cipriani, but now he's going on his own. He has the knack of finding open space, and now he finds Marshall. Chisholm is bearing after him. Marshall gets the ball away once more to the try scorer, Woodward. This time there was no way through. 1 or 2 more defenders there. However, Mostert, huge hole for him to burst through. And Robshaw got back quickly to arrest his travels, but this is Slater, and Gloucester again building very nicely. Cipriani, pass over the top and driven to the line by Ackerman, and Gloucester have started this match at some pace. 2 tries at the Stoop.
A superb score there. All started from Ollie Thorley. It was a little dink of a box kick over to him, which gave him a little bit more space and time than he'd normally get receiving a box kick. He doesn't need that much. He beats so many defenders, makes so many meters. Here he is just gathering the ball, and he's off. Such hard man to tackle. Low centre of gravity, swaying hips, and he's not afraid to attack. And then a beautiful pass out to Marshall. who beats his man, looping support from Woodward, used a little bit of footwork, and then it's quick ball off this, which creates the space on the far side. Good ball carry from Mostert into the guts of Harlequins' defence, and then it's on out wide, and that man Cipriani with another pinpoint pass.
It's brilliant play. Only 2 entries into their 22, 2 tries. Their approach play and their execution when they're getting in behind Harlequins is brilliant, and it sapped the life out of the Stoop today. It's completely silent. It's almost like Sunday service here at the moment. We're only 12 minutes into this match.
Such a good point, Ugo, because you often speak about coming away from home, let's silence the crowd, and you know it's often talked about. It's very hard to do, but that's something Gloucester have done in spades here. It's
trying to ride the wind and doing it expertly. Wow. The perfect cherry and white Sunday so far. This one dressed up in white, but Gloucester lead by 14 points to 0.
Again, another look at that try. What a pass from Thorley as well. We know him for his running game, but that was superb link play.
Backwards.
Bouncing ball that needs to be cleared up, and is by the try scorer Ackerman.
Use it! No, he's all right. He's all right. Inside.
Tactically, it's quite a hard wind to play against because it is up and down and it is across the pitch. If you know the wind's coming down the pitch, you can have really clear tactics. We're going to kick with the wind. Against it, we're going to have to play more. But here with this wind, it just puts your skill set under huge, huge pressure.
Elia again to Simmons, neatly done. Lewis quickly involving Dombrand. He's charged through. Oh, he's gone for an enormous hole. Hole created largely by himself. Socks down and at full steam. Alex Dombrand, his Boyce. He's gone around the tackle of Balmain, gone through the tackle of Balmain. Spirited response from Quins this time, and Horwell. Lewis to Lang. Oh, he's gone all through Cipriani. Gets the ball away to Robshaw. If Robshaw had gone left to Marchant, he surely would have scored, and then Marshall comes in again, and it's going to be a yellow. Once is unfortunate, twice is careless, and he's getting 10 minutes in the bin to consider it.
Good decision, good response, but it all starts from Dombrand, which ends up inviting that pressure into Gloucester's 22, and then they had to do something in this occasion. It was illegal because of the pressure that Harlequins did.
Definite yellow card. He's timed off his feet, spiking the ball. Bit of a volleyball move as opposed to a rugby move. Harlequins go in the corner now. A long huddle, just discussing where they're going to win the ball. Horwell's just weighing up the numbers. Gone for a short and 6-man. Dombrand at half-back.
They pick up the co-captain Horwell, and Elia immediately wrapping back round to carry the ball behind that phalanx of Quinn's bodies. Lewis, Saili. Oh, it's been dropped by Lang and then dropped by 12 Trees. First mistake was a Quinn's one, so it'll be a Gloucester scrum. There's
a difference in teams getting into the 22 at the moment. Gloucester, the 2 visits and 14 points. Harlequins, with Gloucester a man down, and they weren't able to do it. You can see exactly what they're trying to do. Saili, get in behind, put everything out the gain line, which created so much. This is deliberate lock on here. You can see Marshall having to come off his wing just to get in that playing channel.
He's offside as well.
Offside, hand down, good decision, but either way, it's Harlequin's mistake, which has taken the pressure off Gloucester.
Crouch.
So these are the visits, as you can see. Gloucester averaging 7 points per visit. Harlequins in there twice and come away with nothing.
Controlled by Ben Morgan, and again leathered away by Willie Hines. Taken off his left shoulder by Brown. He had Earl to his right that took the tackle of 12 Trees. Chisholm again to Nathan Earl. Ooh. Will Collier just in the nick of time.
James.
Elia up to halfway. Lewis with Saili trying to stretch it as much as he can, but Lewis goes for the kick. One he will regret.
All the way back, just 3
didn't get
metres
the bounce.
inside the
There's a lot of
goal.
space there. It was the right idea. If it would have kicked slightly to the right, it would have been a superb kick.
Hughes.
Yeah, just talking about kicking and how it's going to be a massive factor in today. Looking at the try, the second try from Ackerman, box kicking where you've got 8 men all into that drive and more, it just means that their line chase is really narrow. So all Ollie Thorley needs to do is get into that 15-metre channel, and then it's actually a back line up against about 3 players. He makes that break, they look after the ball, go wide, and it's a try. So if you are going to kick, you've got to get the people in front of you to spread the pitch and make sure that they're tracking well.
Crouch.
It's that awareness for the forwards, isn't it? Knowing that the 9 is going to box kick, so as soon as you put your head up out of the ruck or maul, fill the field and get as wide as you can, as quick as you can.
Advantage winning.
Hines whips it away to Atkinson, and a lovely curving run from Cipriani. More than that, really threatening now. Oh, and then the kick ahead looking for Woodward. He was clattered by Brown on the way through.
Lost forward.
And Quins will have the scrum as a, or rather Gloucester will have the scrum as a result of that. Let's have a chat with Tim Taylor, who, as Gloucester's backs coach, Tim, will be absolutely thrilled with your efficiency in the 22 at the moment. 2 visits, 2 tries.
Yeah, really good, really happy. Excellent execution from the boys in this gusty conditions, and they're just working hard with the ball, especially Tom, before he came off, he was just creating numbers, and it was, it's good to see.
Just talk a little bit about the work of Ollie Thorley, because he's not just one of those wingers who sticks to the wing. He offers so much of a threat on those curving runs in field. How much have you talked to him about that, work with him on that?
Yeah, it's something he's really developed in his game. He's worked really hard. He's such a hard worker on the training field anyway within the week, and that's something he's looked at and worked hard at, and it's showing in games.
And just one thing, Tim, defensively, Sean, as you are now without Marshall for the next few minutes, how do you cover that? What's the talk in the week when you're working down to 14?
Yeah, it's just really important that we've got numbers on feet. We don't chase breakdowns, chase lost causes. We just keep numbers on feet, fill the field, and then stick to the system.
Brilliant. Good man. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
He's got to be so happy with how they're playing attack. I mean, they look so decisive, looking such a threat. That last break there, everything they're doing, especially in this middle third of the pitch, they're getting easy yards, and they've been able to convert it into tries. They've got another great opportunity, 1 man down in the back line, but no doubt I think they're probably going to look to go route 1, get their forwards around the gain line and try and convert yet another 22 visit.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Once again, ball controlled by Morgan, a shifting ball because of the pressure that Quins put through that scrum. They made a right old mess of it, and they've won it back.
To play from Harlequins through the scrum, and Clifford up the side of the scrum, just to add pressure onto Ben Morgan, knock him off his feet, and make it easy for his team to go and turn the ball over. That was a big pressure scrum for Harlequins, right on their line, being on the pump, under the pump for a while.
Oh, not found touch, however, and here goes Slater teeing up Morgan. Woodward was herring up on his left shoulder. Woodward tipped up by Dombrand. Cipriani driven over that gain line by Jaco Creel. Hines. This is Hansen. Cipriani once more. Cipriani tells Hines to go the other way, which he does, and Hansen to Slater. Slater quickly away to Honeck. Honeck skipping back into the more populated areas of the pitch. Hines, Cipriani, and Thorley coming in off that kind of blind shoulder use. That took some watching.
Well, I'm liking it. They've lost 1 winger, so he's going to look to roam and play off the 9s and the 10s, and you can see exactly why, because they're making space, creating opportunities and getting on the gain line. Got to be excited about playing rugby in a Gloucester shirt today so far.
Oh, Dombrandt has stolen it back, and to celebrate, he gives it the old wall. Hey, look at that! Oh my goodness!
Ball's live though, ball's live.
That'll do.
I think it's for yeah.
Let's do a little bit about the Dean Richards in Alex Dombrandt, by the way. Kind of socks rolled down, a bit of a
Student body.
a shambling figure in the nicest sense of the term. He gets the job done though, doesn't he? Goodness me.
He does. He's so effective in everything he does, even a completely unorthodox kick. But he's been outstanding this season.
Use it! Yeah, wingers put them all on, but he's outside the 22.
Again, with plenty of height, but not on that occasion. The direction.
I thought they just went straight forward. That's all it looked like. I wasn't that
So
side as well.
influential in establishing that early Quins lead last weekend. He set up Joe Martin's first try with a little kick ahead, actually. It wasn't quite as cultured as that one. That was a beauty.
I'm pretty sure I heard him shout "Avit" over the ref mic as well when he looked up.
He's angled it for a spiral, hasn't it? But it hasn't quite come off his boot like that.
Yep, snaps it into Horwell. That's the way to go in the wind.
Yeah, definitely. You want to work that front middle as much as you can, and Ely will be happy with that. He's a converted back row. He's a number 8 for Samoa under-20s. Very explosive carrier, but still getting his grips with being a hooker at this level.
Well, that's been won back well by Gloucester on the floor. Honeck it was in the end who tipped it up, and this is the score of the second try. Ruan Ackerman. Slater.
No. Use it!
Balmain just coming in as that extra white brick. A bit more protection for Hines to get this box kick a little bit more accurately away than the previous one. Oh, where's this going? Oh, and that again has been caught on the wind.
I promise you now, I doubt Willie Hines has kicked those two last kicks any different to what he has the previous 20-odd minutes, but the wind's changed, and it's having that adaptability within the game and trying to pick it up is a nightmare today. Absolute nightmare. It's the only 2 mistakes he's made, but I think we can all forgive him because they are really trying conditions out there as much as it looks beautiful on your screens right now.
Once more it's Elia. Once more we look at Horwell. Will they go down that same route?
See Mostert and Slater are just marking the front and the middle, putting real pressure on.
Saili snaps it back to Lang. Earl takes on Atkinson and his left shoulder. Ooh, and Clifford seeking some space and finding a little bit over the 22. Horwell. Oh! Needed to be stopped by Woodward, and he was. Collier. Lewis. Oh, a little show and a go, but trickery wasn't falling. Ed Slater. Rob Shaw. Lewis and Lang and Elia. Boyce taking on Ackerman, who was quickly over the ball but driven off it. Horwell again, and then Lang provides the win, but on that occasion it couldn't be controlled.
A rare error from Dombrandt there. The pass just slightly behind him. Normally has safest hands around, but just let that one hit the deck. Nice hands from Horwell out the back, and yeah, maybe Dombrandt just overruns it slightly, so the pass goes behind him. Ends up knocking it on.
You've got to say that Gloucester have played this 10-minute period so well. 9 minutes 20, down one man in the back, and we're hoping Honeck's absolutely fine, but there's no this is no mistake. Getting the medics on, having a little conversation. You see the whole Gloucester team together, having a little drink, talking about how they're going to work out this last 40 seconds before Tom Marshall comes onto the pitch.
By the way, a word about Wednesday's rugby tonight. We are back on the road. We're on tour from both Northampton and Saracens ahead of next weekend's Premiership Cup final. Weekend off for the Premiership next weekend, so all of our attention can be focused on the PRC final. Northampton against Sarries from Franklin's Gardens, and we've got the match next Sunday, 2:30. James Hansen, really healthy battle for the shirt with Franco Murray at the moment. Australia versus South Africa.
About 20 seconds.
I asked Hansen this week if he could take one of Murray's attributes, what it would be, and he said maybe his energy, just a little bit more fit, a bit more mobility maybe, and we will see that off the bench in the second half, I'm sure.
Good question to ask. It's a difficult question, isn't it, for your competitor?
I don't think he was overly keen on answering it, but he...
Not if he's renegotiating his contract at the moment as well.
Bind.
There's a bloke who's renegotiated the contract and signed it. Ruan
Stay
Ackerman.
close, Dave, behind the ball.
Morgan. Oh! Now, was Lewis offside?
Deliberate knock on.
No, it was a deliberate knock on.
Put your hand out, that's just a block. That's all attempting to catch it.
So not in an illegal position, but an illegal act.
We saw one last week. Andy Uren got an intercept within the sort of 10 centimetres away. Just reached out and grabbed it off the base of the scrum and made a line break off it.
Yeah, thanks, bring him on then.
I'm sure David Lewis was watching that and had a little go at it himself.
Yeah, you got it. On wheel, please, fellas, on your front man.
Tom Marshall is back with us in the meantime. So 15 against 15 again. Franco Mostert up tallest. He's in charge of the line-outs these days, the South African.
He is, he runs it very well. And what's good about him, he's quite light, he's very springy, so he can get in the air very quickly. So if his team are under any pressure, he can just take the ball on himself.
Atkinson clattering through and making this ball a difficult one initially for Quins to control. It's in the sizable arms of Simmons. Oh, however, not for long, or rather for too long. And it was Ruan Ackerman on the floor. Ackerman, incidentally, who qualifies for England at the end of next season, and it's something that he's very aware of. Could play for perhaps Franco Mostert's Springboks, but he's also got an eye on the country that he's earning his living in at the moment.
He's playing very well. He's playing very well in a team that's going very well. Top 4 contenders, a bit more expectation on them. And at the moment, they seem to be living up to it, especially in this game. 26 minutes into it, and Gloucester look like they're the home side, looking so comfortable, dominating most facets.
Just joining us, a couple of early Gloucester tries, Jason Woodward and Ruan Ackerman.
Late change from Horwell, moves from the middle to the front. Ends up rattling Mostert's calls and getting a steal.
Gloucester's line-out running at just 50% at the moment. Lost 2 of the 4 throws. Marshall, first job back on to gather a ball that would have been coming out of the sun. Here's Woodward, goes around Chisholm. That's a beautiful ball out of the bat to Mostert to keep Gloucester going again. Hines to Honeck. Cipriani waits. Just the delay in the pass. He knew exactly where Woodward was.
He invited James Horwell onto him. He just stood still, just knowing the pressure's coming, so he takes it off himself and just plays in around it. I like his decision making. When you're that skillful, when you're that talented, you can do that. I mean, if I stood still with the ball in my hands, I'd have ended up getting cut in 2 and knocking the ball up probably.
He's like a matador, isn't he? Instead of red cape, he just uses the ball, just moves it left and right slowly, taking his time, pulling defenders onto him.
Gloucester are doing all they can to hold on to him. All this talk about whether he has a clause in his contract, whether he'll still be in cherry and white next season, whether he might be here. That lovely juicy transfer chatter that we start to get at this time of the season. Rob Shaw to Dombrandt.
Yeah, I've got them.
Into Cipriani. Lang. Walloped away by former Munsterman, former All Black, Francis Saili. Put back by another Kiwi, Woodward. And here's a South African, Creel. Tackled by an Englishman, Joe Marchant. Asking a little bit too much of Morgan, and it's picked up by Saili. Needs some help. Rob Shaw was there as quickly as he could.
He has stolen the ball, so we'll come back for the knock-on.
Well, Paddy.
Lost forward into a Quins man, already under pressure. Here we go.
Lost forward. Great idea to try and tip the ball on there, make the ball carry easy. try and get a one-on-one collision instead of a two-on-one. It's a nice ball movement. The right idea,
Yeah,
but just
lost
checked
forward.
Ben
I
Morgan.
think it's the first one.
Came off his shoulder, knocked it on.
12 regabbing it.
Rotating with Ben Tapawai today.
Same on Quinn's ball, same pre-scrum, please.
An efficient Quinn's scrum this season, looked after as it is by Adam Jones.
Crouch.
The bloke
Bind.
who's normally in it as well. Squirty
Set.
Joe. Saili, the ball holding up in the breeze it seemed, and Lang and Brown was running the decoy run, and Chisholm's ball to Earl.
Option.
Not really what was needed.
That's been the story for Harlequins in attack. Plenty of ball, decent platforms. Few too many mistakes. Not a lot of pressure on the pass there. Just another unforced error.
Nice on
Not
level
asking too many questions of Gloucester. You can see them
Really
sitting
positive
off,
scrum,
finding their
really
shape.
positive, thank you.
And then Ross Chisholm just fires that ball over Nathan Earl's head.
Of course you can. Watch stop, fellas, just doing some laces. Sorry.
Half a dozen handling errors for Harlequin so far. Talking of that Gloucester front row, an awful lot of injuries props-wise over the course of the season, and Ruan Ackerman was talking this week about the impact of Josh Honeck and Fraser Balmain, a couple of their players who've flown under the radar a little bit, but what jobs they've done over the course of the campaign so far.
Yeah, Honeck is a converted number 8. He used to play number 8 till he was 21, and you can see that in the way he carries the ball, in the way he moves the ball. And Fraser Balmain was a good sign. He was getting no game time at Tigers. Moved here, took his time to get into that starting berth, and now he's got that jersey. He's not giving it up.
Bind.
Valrapava Ruskin is training again down at Hartbury after his calf injury. Ru Andrea still a while back from his groin injury.
Please.
But in the meantime, those two more than holding the fort. Atkinson over halfway to Cipriani. And this is Woodward again coming in dangerously. Marshall trying to keep that space alive as much as possible.
And away.
Ackerman, Cipriani and Honeck. Tackled by Elia, but not before he got the ball away to 12 trees. And now Balmain, the two props popping up in this latest move. And Cipriani, and he's chipped it through, and Atkinson herring after it, and the ball stays in play. And in the end, Nathan Earl did just enough to keep that line safe.
How dangerous did Gloucester look today? That's 4 or 5 faces, and bounce pops maybe slightly right, and that's their third try. Their approach play, the handler, their offloading, as well as their decision making. It wasn't on to give it. That's a beautiful decision. They're bringing Nathan Earl up. That pops to the right. And that's their third try. They've just looked so good in attack, completely dominating this game.
Quint.
You can see the carries. Carries versus the meter, only 3 more carries, but over 100 more meters they've made when ball in attack.
This one's going to come back at them as well. Ackerman. Tackled by Dombrandt. Hines to Cipriani, and again Cipriani off that little left foot, just happy to thread it off the table.
So this was the near opportunity just then. Just holds the ball up, just dinks it onto his left toe.
Happy with scrum?
Nathan Earl does very well to get back, I've got to say. And now it's hammering it down.
Goodness.
Welcome to England, fellas.
It isn't hail, it's meteors.
My word, well, a few HIAs today just from the Hailstones.
Who's in, fellas?
What a
Yeah, he's
ridiculous
in. I
day's
think
weather
he's
we're
just
having.
I was in a string
James.
vest and shorts earlier, Nick.
Too much information. Corwell to Lewis, and here's Lang.
Forward, wait.
That's an image that will take some time to dislodge.
That's straight
I
out.
wonder if it was in
Straight out.
James Lang's mind. It might well have knocked him off his stride.
Pass back into the 22. So it's carried back, kicked straight out.
Good lord.
Here, Wayne Barnes tell both teams, welcome to England, just as it coming down thick and fast. Good attacking opportunity for Gloucester now, just on the 22. Six-man line out, Creel at half-back, Moore coming up.
Handed in by Mostert. And Hansen sneaking around the back again.
Really well set, they can roll it around this left corner. Still got 4 or 5 men against 2. And they're rolling out.
Still Hansen. Honeck. Mostert. Particularly quick ball, but it's still Gloucester ball. Mostert on the bounce to Twelvetrees, who picked it up neatly and then tries to rattle Earl's cage. Ackerman. It's Balmaid. Takes on Clifford. Mostert was offering himself, instead it's Hansen.
Off your feet, off your feet. Bandage.
Another penalty coming. Looking at what Gloucester have done this season and why all of a sudden they're in the playoff picture properly,
Mike,
and you
might
think
disagree with me.
of the arrival of blokes like Franco Mostert, Nick, he's just given them a little bit more cement, a bit more ballast, a bit more top-end know-how this season.
Yeah, he's a top-class South African international. Look at the game 2 weeks ago, he had 99 contributions, which is phenomenal for a second row to get through all those scrums, you know, calling the line out, organising everyone around him, as well as hitting 45 rucks, you know, making all of his tackles. His work rate is phenomenal for a lock, and you know, he's really leading the way from that point of view for Gloucester.
Slap bang in front of the posts. Gloucester banking 3 more points. 5 minutes to half-time. They lead 17-0.
They certainly do. Completely dominate. This is Mike Brown just trying to attack the ruck, offering another opportunity. Gloucester's red zone completion's been superb. The pressure in the territory is always turned into points. Harlequins haven't ever been zeroed at half-time this season, and it looks like a likely outcome with 4 minutes to play.
There is that man Mostert. Took the ball over his shoulder.
Use it!
Ed Slater rolling around to that shorter left-hand side. Instead, it was Creel. Slater was there running side saddle.
You can see it, he just slows down his feet. He doesn't want to get outside that 22, making it easier for Willie Hines to be able to get rid of this ball. Needs a decent kick, needs a better kick chase. Ball was always in, as Wayne Barnes says. And that's great combination and game awareness between your back row, Ackerman, as well as Willie Hines. And that control has been the foundation for all of their game defensive. I don't think they've been stretched much, but in attack they've come alive and well worthy their 17 points.
Mostert on that occasion making line-out ball very uncomfortable for Quins.
Really good steal, 4-man, difficult to mark, but he just tracked his man well, got up in front of him, flicked the ball across to his side.
Use. Take it back. Forwards, yep.
Curves into the arms of Brown, who immediately employs Earl.
Run away, please.
Apologies for the language.
James.
It might be lecture time. James Horwell trundling across. Mike Brown already in the headmaster's study.
Make it really clear again, he behaves like that, he just leaves us field. There's no more warnings, okay? Do you understand? Do you understand? Penalty.
The frustration that the fans will feel in the stands, that the coaches will feel in the stands, and very obviously being felt by Mike Brown right now.
Yeah, gave it the old every time, ref, every time. That's the first time I've seen Mostert there. And if you can't roll away, you have to crawl away. So if you can't roll your body sideways, you have to army crawl out front ways. And that's something that I think he could have done.
Nobody has played more for this club. He actually beat a 46-year-old record a couple of months back. And Graham Murray, the props record that had stood since the early 70s. Lewis away under some pressure to Saili. He's played well, Saili, when he's been given the opportunity, breaking gain lines. Simmons. Boyce held on to by Morgan. Morgan's done more than hold on. He's ripped the ball back. And 12trees will curve away with it. And there's Mostert giraffing his way over the 10-metre line. Now he's lost it, and Clifford has it. One-handed to Boyce, to Robshaw, who does well to evade what would have been the initial hit. Here's Horwell spinning away. Brown. Dombrandt. Robshaw. Simmons up in support. Jaco Kriel with the tackle. Lang. Now Earl and Joe Marchant. But again, they're scuttling sideways rather than making a great deal of distance towards the posts.
They certainly are. They've got to win that physicality battle. And at the moment, Gloucester's line speed is really swallowing up this Harlequins defence. Not too much space on the edge until then.
Maybe now, Brown with Chisholm up in support. Cipriani got in his carriageway. Robshaw. Collier.
Too long.
Lang. Saili again. Into the final few seconds of what has been a thoroughly frustrating half for the hosts. One of the best of the season for the visitors. Elia. Gone loose. Picked up. Oh, by Atkinson is wrestling with Marchant for it. And Atkinson the strongest. And 12trees now. And what ambition Gloucester. So they want to bank what they've got. Are they looking to deposit a little bit more before the break?
Get the ball off the pitch. 17-0. This has been a great half. I love the ambition of wanting to play, but I wouldn't want to give Harlequins any kind of sniff, but they've got numbers on.
Well, they have, and Cipriani finds Atkinson, and here goes Marshall. Kriel to his right-hand side. Chisholm needs to make the tackle. And he did, and has he managed to get player and ball out of play? There's the answer. Well, a Quins side who are unbeaten here at the Stoop in the Premiership since the opening weeks of the season have been distinctly second best over the opening 40 minutes. A wonderful first half for Gloucester. Both tries, Woodward and Ackerman, and they lead by 17 points to 0. Yeah, a couple of Quins changes. He is on. Joe Marler on for Lewis Boyce, and so to the fly half Marcus Smith. Gustard not messing around with his replacements. Changes needed, changes affected. James Lang off. Marcus Smith on. And Marcus Smith will get this second half underway. Now will that go 10 metres? Just lost by 12trees. It was rather bamboozled in the end, and here goes Brown. Quins looking for that quick response to a first half where they failed to score for the first time in a while. Simmons. And that's been lost by Dombrandt. Gloucester playing with the advantage.
And use it.
Willie Hines takes his time to find Cipriani, the ringleader in that first 40 minutes. Brown controlling on his left boot into the arms of the new man Smith. And a test for Woodward, who got Gloucester going with their first try very early on. Here's Morgan. Mostert. Influential first half. Chisholm herring backwards. cutting across the pitch and running beyond Atkinson, but not 12 trees. Here's Marler for a significant contribution. All of that experience drawn off the bench. There'll be a certain amount of anger as well, given the first half that he would have watched from the stands.
Yeah, absolutely. With the 2 substitutions he's brought on, he'll be looking for that ballast from Joe Marler, set-piece dominance, and then from Marcus Smith, a bit of attacking quality.
Oh, it might open up here for Gloucester, and Woodward's herring away, and the ball out to Marshall. He's got to run into the line. His whole posse of Quins defenders to get beyond, and he didn't manage it. And Smith comes away with it for Quins, and Thorley now galloping backwards to rescue things for the visitors. He strides over the 10-metre line, just about clung onto by the new fly half, Mostert.
And now use it.
Brown coming round to that ball, but it never got to him. Instead, it was taken by Chisholm.
Not on the ball. No. OK, 9's engaged.
Referee Wayne Barnes today. Rob Shaw, no way through, but laid back comfortably enough for Dave Lewis. Harlequins having to operate today without Danny Kerr still. He's still recovering from a couple of broken ribs. And here's Saili, looked as likely as anyone to rattle those Gloucester locks in the first half. But it's a familiar pattern, a fair bit of Quins' possession, but not an awful lot of hope beyond that defensive line. Maybe now Dombrand. See what he was trying to do, trying to cotton on to Rob Shaw, and Collier wins it back for Quins. Smith picked up on the bounce by Thorley, and he again comes in field looking for runners off him, cutting across the grain, and then takes 3 Quins tacklers to stop him. Ackerman. It's of Gloucester's second try. It's Creel. That ball's been lost on halfway. Quins will have it. And finally, we can draw breath. 4 minutes of non-stop action without a huge amount going on, it has to be said, although Gloucester might think that they could have got a third try.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tim Visser spoke about the kick chase and Ollie Thorley, where he made that break, which ended up in Ackerman's try. Well, same thing repeated itself. Just too easily, Gloucester got round a bouncing ball. Perhaps Harlequins, I think they got a little bit unlucky. But 2-3 passes, and they've got right in behind him. One offload away from being a try. And Marcus Smith, who's come on to make an impact, intercepts that ball and bails Harlequins out. And it's those moments of control which either side will be looking to wrestle off one another.
Defensively, Nick, how have Harlequins got themselves sucked into such a narrow area? How did that amount of space suddenly occur for Gloucester?
The bouncing ball is hard to defend, but there was a lot of space out there. And it comes from the kick, and it's the awareness from the forwards we spoke about in the first half to fill the field. And it's difficult because there could be 4 or 5 of you within a very small area. So it's hard work. First of all, you need, the widest one needs to get as wide as he possibly can. And then it's the connections. It's talking to the man on your left and your right, saying push, push, appropriate spacing, not too close to each other and not too far away. So a lot of organising needs to go on after the kick.
Same height, please. Crouch. Bind. Set.
Dave Lewis played 65 minutes at the Wreckers Quins scrum half after Charlie Mulcrone took that bang to the head. Starting today, Smith linking up with Lewis. Here goes a little bit of razzle-dazzle from the right wing. Not been enough of that from a Quins perspective in the match so far.
Yeah, he's had little opportunity, but he showed his quality there. Lovely bit of footwork. This is it, a little loop around play. David Lewis gets the ball in his hands and just offers it up. In, out, and around Ollie Thorley. Be disappointed of that. But you've got to say, once again, despite making the break or conceding the meters, Gloucester's ability to get back and bundle Nathan Earl into touch. And for all the footwork and for the line break, it's still Gloucester's ball.
Stay 2.
Once again, middle of that line out, it's Mostert taking the responsibility on his own shoulders.
Back you go, 4. Back you go.
Rob Shaw having a wrestle with Fraser Balmain, or rather Marler and Balmain having the wrestle.
You can see Marler just pulled him out of the maul to try and give his team the advantage. Balmain took offence and just laid on him for a bit.
Chisholm. Lewis. This is Rob Shaw. A little bit of indecision at the base of the breakdown. A look to the right, but then they go left. It's all a little bit slow at the moment. Smith looking to accelerate things.
Yeah, you can hear Paul Gostar just above us screaming offside. I don't think they were offside. I think Harlequins just need to be more efficient around the breakdown and move the ball quicker. They're just not quite testing this Gloucester defence yet.
James Orwell gets up a little bit gingerly. It's like he's hurt his leg. On goes Brown, almost escaping the tackle. Likewise Marchant, but not quite. Ball lost forward.
Saw Marchant in the build-up there. He runs lovely lines off the shoulders of players. Really good support lines. There he's just overrun it slightly. Good offload from Brown, but just needed to push that ball backwards.
Yeah, look, I know what you're going to say, but I thought he was on the floor trying to get out of the way, but and he's in your way.
Let's have another look at this little scrap.
I made a decision that he didn't hit. Was that just a bit of pantomime villain stuff, mate?
Yeah, nothing that I could see that happened.
Just talking about pantomime villain stuff there.
Yeah, there's
Wayne
nothing
Barnes,
in that, boys.
but you can
Just
see
have a
Joe
chat to him if
Marler
you
was on
need
the
to.
floor, but he was actually holding Balmain onto him. His arm was wrapped around him, holding him onto him to look like he was getting pinned down.
A reasonable time to mark your card about our plans next week programme-wise. Rugby Tonight is on tour. It's a dual tour, if you like, Northampton and Saracens, because it's the Premiership Cup final next weekend, so paying a visit to both of those clubs on Wednesday, and then the Premier Rugby Cup final next Sunday. It's Franklin's Gardens. Saints against Sarries, Sunday at 2:30.
Let's go. Oh.
Lewis Ludlow
Forward pass.
getting ready to join us with a word of advice, encouragement from Tim Taylor.
He's been out for a while, hasn't he? Played at Hartbury last week, getting a bit of match fitness. Good to see him back. It's another Gloucester player that was on fire at the start of the season.
Bind. Set.
Interesting to see Lewis Ludlow with us today. I'm not entirely sure he would have been involved in the 23 if Conor O'Shea and Italy hadn't called in Jake Pelledri late on in the week. Pelledri coming back from Rome and was with the boys at Hartbury on Wednesday, but because Pelledri was needed across the road yesterday, it's allowed the opportunity for Ludlow to rejoin us today.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Initial Quinn's shove repelled by Gloucester. Cipriani pops it up for Atkinson, who's a boulder through midfield, and his mate 12 Trees comes away with it. Rob Shaw was there quickly and over the ball as well to slow it as much as he could. Above his head, Cipriani finding Marshall.
No, you're off now.
This is Hansen. Cipriani, Slater. Josh Honeck. That's been stolen, and Marler comes away with it gleefully. Likewise Brown. Robshaw hoists it back into the arms of Marcus Smith, and now Dombrandt. 12 Trees did what he could, and then Ackerman doing what he can to hold that ball off the ground. Elia. Okay, Mostert lining up the tackle. Brown, Chisholm. He's got Clifford to his far left. That was a meaty fend off from Clifford, but he's shoved off the table.
Well, Harlequins got a little bit more bite in their attack at the moment, but Gloucester have every answer to the questions which Harlequins are having. Nathan Earl, just a few minutes ago, gets bundled into touch. Jack Clifford, I mean, they're just as good as a turnover. So for Gloucester, although they're giving up metres, they're able to thwart and stop any bit of Harlequins' attack and getting the ball back after very few phases.
Yeah, not as we want it. Both losing their shape, outside shoulders in from
the changes. James Chisholm on for Alex Dombrand, and also Niall Saunders making his way as a Quins scrum half these days, on for Dave Lewis, and confirmation of those Gloucester changes as well. Franco Murray's on, and so too Lewis Ludlow. Meantime, Quins with a couple of players receiving some treatment. Will Collier and Elia. That's Niall Saunders. Folk as old as me will remember his dad, Rob. Nick's nodding his head knowingly as if he's as old as I am.
Island captain. No, just because I read the notes.
You read about him in books, didn't you? You read about him in books of old. He was Ireland's scrum half in the 1991 World Cup.
Top left corner of this stand on our left here.
Marco Creel looks like he's in a little bit of pain.
Rarely does that work, the old bootstrap. You often see guys roll their ankles slightly. The physio comes on, running repairs, straps their boot even tighter onto their leg. And then you often see them come off a few minutes later. We'll see how Collier gets on.
Next time it stops. Yes, yes, please.
Atkinson. Cipriani and Marshall herring onto it, likewise Woodward, and this is Thorley. He's got a bit of space, he's got a lot of work to do. Marchant came across, was that high? Hamish Smales, the assistant referee, was a metre away. And they are
13.
playing the advantage. The voice of David Rose, the TMO, and our truck coming as well, just to confirm that it was 13. So with free ball, Cipriani slams it across. What a kick from Cipriani to find Morgan, who held it up, and if he could have found Honeck, that surely would have been a try.
Oh, what a sensational try that would have been, from the break of Thorley to the flat kick from Cipriani, all of that.
It's going to be a yellow.
13.
There's Marchant, there's no malice in it. Just got his arm a little bit too high, rode up over the shoulder. Boos around the stoop, the crowd aren't happy with it.
We're talking about the conditions of the wind and how difficult it is to be able to manage a kick. You want to keep the ball as flat as you can. Cipriani kicks that almost like a goalkeeper, clearing touch, gets that flat. Completely non-wind assisted. Keep that ball in hand. The offload goes to hands, and Gloucester might be celebrating their third try. That's the high tackle, especially off the back of a line break. You can see why Wayne Barnes is given that yellow card. But the difference for me is, and we've seen it with Quins, with Nathan Earl going into touch, Jack Clifford going into touch, Ollie Thorley fights so hard to stay in field, keep hold of the ball.
Watch is off.
Yellow card.
Nice touch from Joe Marchant, however. His first ever yellow card, but he went across to Ollie Thorley to shake his hand and just to check that he was okay at the end of all that. There was no malice. It was just the work of a man determined not to concede a try.
Yeah, he did his best. It's difficult sometimes when they're running at their top speed, which is very, very fast, and you're very fast yourself, judging it at that level. He just got it slightly wrong, rode his arm too high.
What about this kick? This was Dennis Burkamp, wasn't it? Hughes, as a Gunners fan?
Yeah, certainly can appreciate that. It's a quality kick. Almost took Ben Morgan by surprise. If he was running onto that, it would have been so difficult to stop. That's the man who kicks some hands. It's not just the kicks, George Ford, top of that own foul. It's just his variation of his kicking, whether it's the grub is in behind, his crossfield kicking, or just kicking for length.
Quins, meantime, have made a change in midfield. Francis Saili, who actually been catching the eye a lot up to this point, has been replaced by Alofa.
It's a huge moment in the game now for Gloucester, isn't it?
Line up taken. stretching to his highest by Ed Slater. And Quinns have brought that ball down illegally. Atkinson and then Cipriani, and passes it almost underneath the defence to Woodward, and the try will be scored, yes, by Marshall. And they've been stretching that multicoloured Quinns fabric all afternoon, and they've stretched it beyond breaking point again.
Once again, just slick handling from the Gloucester backline. That's been the sign of the afternoon for them. They don't mind about the wet, the rain, the sleet, the hail. The passing has been absolutely spot on.
Rush it, I'll stop it.
We've seen this so many times, the combination of Atkinson to Cipriani. Cipriani under pressure, putting the ball out to Woodward, and Woodward under even more pressure from Mike Brown, who can't get off the line, and all he's got to do is find his man, find his winger, and Marshall goes over into the corner. 3 tries, all of them so well executed. The accuracy, 22-0 after 51 minutes.
Gloucester are missing their top scorer at the moment, Charlie Sharples, working his way back from a thumb injury. But in Tom Marshall, it's almost as if they've got a brand new player anyway, because he's missed so much of the season because of injury. He and his right forefinger now back with us, however, and significantly influencing Gloucester's path maybe towards the playoffs. Just a little bit too much in these blustery conditions, but look at the score. Harlequins 0, Gloucester 22.
Expect them to go short again off this restart here as we have a look at that. Just the passing under real pressure there to still get a 10-15 metre pass away. Really, really skillful stuff.
12 trees, May messing around, wallops it back over the Quinns garden fence, and Marcus Smith do nothing more than watch it over the touchline.
It's a brilliant exit. Absolutely brilliant exit.
No one saw it clearly. You got the line,
just
mate.
After scoring that try, just putting boot to ball, making use of that wind, finding a vast amount of space in the back of the pitch. And Marcus Smith really can't do anything about it.
23-year-old Samoan hoists it high into the arms of Simmons. Ticking away on Joe Marchant's yellow card. Gloucester scoring while Marchant was out of that defensive line.
Don't change your mind, Ed.
Really good ball from Harlequins here, just to stay bound to each other, keep it going forward.
Rob sure it was at the vanguard. This is Niall Saunders, Academy number 9, given his chance today in the absence of Mulcrone and Kerr, both injured. Rob Shaw to Chisholm. There's the other Chisholm, the other brother, the bigger one, James Chisholm. Recovered from a touch of flu last weekend. Saunders, Smith. No way through there for Earl, and 12 trees and Franco Murray in combination defensively. Ackerman has it for Gloucester. 12 trees wants it again. Woodward, Marshall. Atkinson's beyond him. Prod through, and Nathan Earl had come across and had to get down well to prevent any more danger.
Very well weighted kick there. Off the turnover, a little bit of space out there, but they're not getting carried away. 22-0 up. They can just afford to take their time, put the ball down there. Really good game management.
On your front man, Quinns.
See how Gloucester won that ball back.
Okay, fellas, let's go, please.
Bruin Ackerman goes in. He's having quite a game.
Brown just got himself in a compromised position on the floor. He couldn't present the ball properly.
Stay 2 metres.
Because his legs were up in the air, which gave Ackerman the opportunity. He saw the ball straight in there. Strength of the man just rips it clean off.
A couple of turnovers now for Rowan Ackerman, and this is Slater off the tail of that line out, blasting into the heart of Quinn's defence. Gloucester now contemplating a bonus point try. Hines levering away at the ball.
He was on his feet, he can keep his hand on the ball.
Ackerman running into Elia and to Horwell. He's still going, still on his feet.
Tackle, away you come!
Ben Morgan's lining up to the right, licking his lips. Oh, it goes beyond him. Instead, it's Slater. Mostert wasn't far away. Here comes the ball once more for Murray. Oh, but there was obstruction in the middle of that.
You often get it with forwards, they get so excited when they're 5 metres out, but it's so important you keep your composure, keep your discipline, and make sure that you're on the same timeline as the guys that...
He wasn't trying to pick it up, but he didn't have to take his hand off.
But there's your explanation, Wayne Barnes. Yeah, it's so important that the forwards are on the same timeline as one another. As keen as you are to get your hands on the ball, this is it here. Willie Hines can't quite get the ball out as he wants. It's Mark Atkinson who overruns it.
Because he's not trying to pick it up.
At the same time as Franco Murray. Massive let off for Harlequins.
Stay 2 metres, 20.
Saunders, Smith, Alofa. He's putting a lot of faith in some very young players at the moment to try and draw them back into this contest. Horwell isn't one of those young players, but he's certainly one of those who will do what he can to bring them back. Not like that, however, ball's been lost. And then Gloucester knocked it on. Net result, Gloucester scrum. Let's have a word with Nick Evans, who will have a little bit on his plate at the moment, I suspect. Nick, what was the theme of the chat at half-time?
Yeah, look, for us, it's about the fundamentals of rugby, isn't it? You know, work rate, physicality, and accuracy. And for us, we've lost those little battles today. And if you're going to do that against a good side like Gloucester, with good players, you're going to find it very, very hard. So, you know, we talked about that, about winning those little battles. You know, Bath were in a similar position for us last week. We talked about working ourselves way back into the game. But, you know, again, we're nearly 20 minutes to go. We're still finding ourselves making those similar errors. So, a little bit disappointing.
Nick, you go here. What fundamentally haven't you got right to get your attacking game going? Because you seem to be getting into the right players, but keep coughing up the ball for one or another reason.
Yeah, look, for us, it's all about our depth. You know, accuracy, you've got to have time on the ball. And for us, we just felt that we're a little bit flat in our attack today. It's something we've worked hard on over the last few months. And today, it's crept a bit back in. So, you know, the forwards running a little bit flat. Backs are getting ball and all tackles. Guys in the right positions, which is great. But, you know, if you don't give yourself time on the ball, you're going to find it very hard against a good defence like Gloucester.
How do you sort that out, Nick? Is that just simply a case of taking a couple of steps further backwards, not starting quite so quickly?
It can be as simple as that. And I wish it was as simple as just tell them and then they go do it. It would make our lives a lot easier. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen like that. You know, the pressure at the breakdown, you know, slow ball can have a big influence in that. And I thought Gloucester have probably won that battle today at the breakdown.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nick.
No worries.
Here goes Marshall again, testing that Quinn's defence. Once more, the prize of a fourth Gloucester try. It's been intercepted by Chisholm, who read it well and then came away with it athletically. Saunders' kick, however, charged down and might pay for that. Murray to Ludlow, and this is 12 trees, and now Atkinson fishing it out to Thorley. Ball's there somewhere, and
lost forward first of all, then went backwards.
Willie Hines, by the time he'd got it, heard that possession had been lost to a Quinn's scrum.
Yeah, a rare mistake for Gloucester in the 22. They've been so potent and so incisive once they've got into there, but it's interesting to see how they're playing. And in conditions like this, and having their captain back and such a good organiser back, 65% of the ball has been played through Gloucester. So they've come here with a game plan to win that physicality battle, and that's what Nick Evans was touching on. They've certainly won that. Quinn's perhaps playing a little bit too much off 10 because they haven't won that physicality battle and trying to play wide and aren't getting the gains that they want. Gloucester, smart game plan, well executed. 22-0 up, and they've been very well worthy for that scoreline as well.
Crouch.
Dave Ward having a word with Joe Marchant. Ward, it would seem, not far away from joining us.
Set.
Offers the option, of course, as a hooker and also back row, so see where he comes on. Very interesting, that psychology, Nick, just listening to Nick Evans about them playing just a little bit too flat. I guess when you're chasing a game, the temptation is to do that rather than giving yourself a little bit more time, a little bit more depth. We'll come back to that. Let's see what Woodward can make of this with Thorley, two of them conspiring on the 10-metre line. Marshall, as always, an ever-willing runner in support. Hines whips it away to Mostert, Cipriani, and this is Murray. Ooh, neatly over the top to Balmain. Murray sweeps up the bits. There's a deliberate knock-on. We'll come back for that, and we'll come back to it much sooner than Josh Honeck would have wanted us to.
Good attacking shape once again from Gloucester, but once again a little bit of ill-discipline. I think that's the third penalty we've had for deliberate knock-ons, but purely because Quins are getting far too tight and being stretched from pillar to post. Look at this. You've got Jack Clifford. He's the last man, has to make that. Otherwise, it would have been a 3-on-1.
Yeah, just a word about that Quins depth that we were talking about.
So for me, it's linked to their speed of ball. I think Nick Evans mentioned it there, and normally used to Danny Kerr playing it away extremely quickly, ruck after ruck after ruck. And here, whether it be their breakdown hasn't been aggressive enough, or the ball just hasn't been moved quick enough. You don't have to rely on the 9 to move the ball all the time. If it's there, anyone can move it away, and then that affects your lines of running. And then you end up you waiting. Maybe you were deep, but by the time the ball comes out, you're actually on top of the play.
You'll have noticed that Joe Marchant's back with us, as also is Dave Ward. Gloucester won that yellow card period 5-0, and they're looking for more here. Chipped over the top by Hines. Oh, the bouncing ball, and well, needed to get his left mitts on that, and he did.
It's done very well. Very easy to switch off as the blindside winger there, but he had to look in behind the line out first. Swept really well. Willie Hines saw the space, but Nathan Earl got down on it and secured the ball. Problem for Quins is they're over their try line.
Robshaw driven backwards by Mostert, who's been an absolute monster today.
Yeah, ferocious defence there. A really good option to mix up the attack, put a little dink over the top. You just want to find grass. They found grass, and then all of a sudden, Quins have got to try and exit there from right underneath their posts. 2 passes, 2 phases wide, and then Gloucester end up getting the ball back.
Talking to Johan Ackerman this week about the thing that has impressed him most about Gloucester this season, and he said it's just their improving game balance, the knowledge of knowing when to kick, when to pass, when to stick, when to twist. He thinks they're starting to get that right more and more.
They certainly are. I just commented on their playmaker balance, but the way in which they've really orchestrated their game plan today, whether it's kicking long in the first half and trying to pry off Harlequins' mistake, suffocating them down there, but also having that attacking nous to be able to convert those opportunities, and this another prime one now.
Off in search of that try-scoring bonus point, and Cipriani will have it. 9 and 10 combining. It's the best of Sundays for Gloucester.
What I like about that, they had options both sides of the scrum. The scrum ended up wheeling slightly to the left, and the space was there, and they just took it. Hines, very, very clever, quick speed of thought, picks it up, and then a lovely weighted pass to a speedy Cipriani coming around the corner.
Speak about control and their playmaker balance, where Willie Hines just does such a number on Niall Saunders just then. He knows that he needs to get away from Niall Saunders, and that creates a 2v1. You see it at the top of your screen now. He breaks away, sucks in Nathan Earl, which nothing he can really do. Cipriani reads the play really well. 65 minutes, 4 tries up to the good.
Well, I'm not sure many saw this coming, Hughes. We billed it as 3rd against 4th because that's what it is, and we thought it would be a proper contest, but it hasn't been from a very early stage.
It's been a weekend of very, very close, tight, hard-fought games, and we thought we'd see that this afternoon, but credit to Gloucester. They've come here against an informed Quins side, won 5 of their last games, playing some cracking rugby, scoring tries from everywhere, and so far, 65, 66 minutes coming up, they've nilled Harlequins.
Trolltrees is continuing to kick his kicks. And Danny Cipriani, that was his last act. He has been replaced, so has Ollie Thorley. Josh Honek's off, Fraser Balmain's off. A whole coachload of replacements have taken those gaps on the pitch. Here goes Horwell picking up the bouncing ball. Harlequins now stung into action. It's merely one of those playing for pride. Final 15 minutes. Brown. Unsympathetic pass that he controlled as well as he could off his foot. Clifford. That's confirmation of those changes. Trainer Denman and Owen Williams on. Saunders off the floor to Rob Shaw.
Yeah, probably.
We've got still 15 minutes left and there are Harlequins fans leaving. And in their numbers as well.
Off you, but then it's gone into your own man. It's not a knock-on, but it's accidental offside.
They've seen enough. It's time to go and put the Sunday roast on.
Got you, you were back in the line to take the ball.
A season that has got better and better and better for Harlequins. This has been a rather sobering afternoon.
Well, it just goes to show in this league, which is so competitive, where everyone's beating everyone, it would seem. If you're 5–10% off in the small facets of the game, and we spoke about it before the game, the incremental improvements they've made in every facet: defence, attack, set piece. Well, they haven't really been there today. Gloucester have come to the stoop as the aggressor, and they've won those small battles, which collectively have made a massive difference.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Okay, play it away or I'll reset.
Gloucester had the choice. Morgan decided to play it away. And the new man, Owen Williams, looking for the East Stand. It's been 4.5 years, by the way, since...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And I hate to use the noun nilled, but I will. It's been 4.5 years since Harlequins were nilled in the Premiership against Saracens. They've got 12 minutes to try and open their account. It's been a dog of an afternoon for them.
Yeah, it's been very poor, really disappointing from their perspective, especially off the back of this form. They certainly wouldn't have seen it coming.
Too long.
But Gloucester, the team that would have been hurt by last week, have really focused all of that into putting together a brilliant performance.
Sorry about the un-Sunday-like language that might have picked up in the middle of all that.
Thank you.
Play on advantage.
Too long, first man.
Gloucester talked all week about how keen they were to start to do their business more regularly away from Kingsholm. Just a couple of wins on the road in the Premiership this season. My goodness, they clocked on early today and they've stayed clocked on.
They have. Their intensity right throughout the game, showed their hand very early, wanted to play some attractive rugby, but with that, very clever rugby as well. Control at 9 and 10's been good, taking their opportunities, and haven't given Harlequins a sniff.
Freddie Clark's coming on. He'll be replacing Ben Morgan, we hear. Meantime,
Contact across the line by
Ward.
White initially.
There's going to be a penalty at that line out.
He put his arm on him before he took off.
Penalty against Franco Mostert.
See, there's a slight frustration there. They're looking at Ross Chisholm, quick tap. Wayne Barnes had given them the spot, just looking to get a bit of tempo into this game.
There's a bit of contact in the air.
Just having enough, I think that's a harsh one. When you see any little contact now giving, normally it's a touch on the arm, a pull on the arm. But that looked like a fair contest, both jumping towards the ball. Mostert got a steal the previous line out, so Harlequins would have been a little bit rattled, a bit nervous about him, trying to get the ball away from him, but he's been everywhere this afternoon.
Now, what of Quins? Is this the time to start scoring? Too late to think about winning, but for restoring a little bit of pride. Won by Horwell and Ward's there, and they're getting a little bit of a churn on here.
On man to floor. On man to floor.
All off the floor now. Saunders again to Horwell, running into Marshall. Ward, who will add his usual vim and vigour. Rockshaw. Gloucester offside, Ed Slater offside, so with the advantage. Saunders crying out for more support, getting that shape right. Marchant amongst those waiting a little further wide. They've all shuffled to the left, however, and Smith. Yeah, Brown held on to. Marshall again, who's done his job defensively today.
Still playing advantage.
Laid back by Saunders, who goes on his own. Having done that, he needed to score, and Willie Hines was determined that he wouldn't.
On the near post.
One of the Harlequins players there to shout "Niall" as he went the wrong way. I think they had numbers on the right there, and he's a very quick sniping scrum half. He saw a little bit of space on the left and tried to go himself.
Yeah, of course. Four, offside.
Feet up from Toto Gloucester.
Go down. Toto, look after captains.
Oh, here comes Callum Brayley. Last weekend he was in Rome, flew back to Gloucester at the start of the week, having been deemed surplus to Italian requirements. He's coming on, so too Freddie Clark, as we signalled a bit earlier. Willie Hines today leaves the rugby pitch on his own terms, having done a wonderful job of steering his club around this little patch of southwest London turf today.
He's been excellent, hasn't he? Makes such a difference, as every captain does. Oh no, okay, Morgan is looking for a soft drink perhaps, and a new set of lungs.
You'll need a white captain.
No, he's being called back onto the boating lake, and it is number 4 whose time is up. Ed Slater's claiming to have cramp.
Of course he has. I tell you, Ben Morgan ran a lot faster off the pitch as he's running back onto it.
Let's take our time.
Again, we talk of additions to the Gloucester squad this season. The work that Ed Slater's done. We always knew that it was likely to be a decent addition.
Crouch.
However, this is all about Quins right now.
Set.
And their efforts to bank some checks for the first time in this match. Ball picked up by Chisholm, but by that point, the damage had been done by Gloucester's scrum. Big men congratulating each other.
Story of the afternoon, really, isn't it? Good attacking position. Start thinking they're going to put some points on the board for the first time. And then Gloucester just show their dominance. And it's in different facets of the game throughout, either it be a Harlequins handling area or good Gloucester defence, or a superb Gloucester scrummage.
It was great work from Kyle Traynor, amongst others. It's been quite a week for Kyle. He graduated with a master's degree from Oxford this week. He actually started the degree when he was playing for Bristol. He completed it when he was at Leicester, and he's graduated as a Gloucester player, and he can still push pretty impressively in a scrum as well. He's setting himself up for a future away from this game. And Morgan's now Gloucester's captain, by the way, we're hearing. Williams to the captain.
No.
Brayley, Woodward, who has busied himself. Once more, it's Mostert. Away to Ludlow.
Advantage.
Not much has gone wrong for Rowan Ackerman and Gloucester today, but that did not go to plan.
Just took his eye off it, didn't he? Harlequins defender ran out of the line.
If they'd have turned the ball
Just took
over
his
there,
eye
it
off the
would have
ball
been a
for a
penalty.
second, then not knocking it on.
Interesting as well to see the likes of Rowan Ackerman amongst lots of others signing contracts this week. We know that Joe Simpson's on his way in at the end of the season, but there ain't going to be a great deal of business in or out. The days of 20 in and 20 out at the end of a campaign are long gone, and that kind of stability, the intelligence of the planning is something that Gloucester have been crying out for.
Well, they've got a settled squad and they've got a group of players that all buying into the vision of how they all want to play. They've settled in really well, cementing themselves into the top four as competitive as what it's been, and proving that they can win the big matches away from home as they're showing today.
Away by Chisholm. This is Marler on at half-time to try and turn the tide, but it's even beyond Joe, this one. Ward, Smith and Alofa. Saunders, and then laid back by Swainston. Again Saunders, here goes Brown. Rob Shaw.
Attack all the way we can.
Alofa, Marchant, we got the ball away nicely to Earl, and there's still a little bit of life here. Marchant herring after it, all those tries so far this season. Earl dabs it down, and the try is given. Finally, at the close of play, a count opened, but much too late.
We're just checking, Marcus, so I'm just checking something.
Exactly that. Harlequins have been desperate just to get something, a bounce of the ball, an opportunity to actually execute something when they get into the 22. Speculative kick from Nathan Earl. Really good pressure from Joe Marchant. And Nathan Earl just continued where he left off last week. Scored at the death. He's not far off it this week. But a try which secured them 5 points away from home last week. It's just given them a little bit of pride today.
Marcus Smith has the conversion as well, and he races back. 9th try of the season for Nathan Earl.
Lovely little chip there, and then Marchant just never giving up, comes through, spoils the Gloucester defence there to make it an easy dot down.
Joe Marchant remains on the top of the pile, but his mate's not far away now. He's their most profitable season as a Premiership player so far. It's been a good move, that one, from Saracens, as we've been saying for most of the season. Owen Williams drives it long from the restart. Chisholm. Tackled by Denman. See him back involved. Clifford, Smith under a lot of pressure again from Morgan. Look how swift that handling has to be to try and get beyond the white defence.
Probably high tackle by 13, Bunty.
And we'll come back for the high tackle.
Yeah, definitely high tackle.
Man of the match, it's a huge job today.
Yeah, there's been plenty of quality right throughout the Gloucester team, whether it's Franco Mosto or it's Ackerman in the back row. But for me, winning away from home comes down to lots of different things. Leadership, control, and all of that's been provided by the Gloucester captain and their number 9 scrum half, Willie Hines. He's our Gallagher Premiership man of the match. He's been exceptional today.
Over 2 minutes to go. Dave Ward with the throw. It's been snatched out by Mostert. Mostert wouldn't have been far away in your deliberations, I suspect you.
Certainly wasn't. He's contender for man of the match every week. He's got to be one of the signings of the season. The way in which he's given them extra ballast in their front five allows the likes of Cipriani and Willie Hines a platform from a set-piece perspective and an irritant against any attacking line-out.
Off your feet now. Yeah, great.
It's gone forwards off Ward. Williams, Marshall. Gloucester still hungry for more. 12 trees to Banahan. Bulldozing his way through. Brayley picks it up. They might yet get more. Brayley clips it through, and Marshall still herring after it. And loose ball. It was not made easy by the attention of Marcus Smith. He did his job, but Gloucester still hungry for more Sunday meat.
Very good, but look at Callum Brayley once again. Getting broken far too easy here. Bit of a mismatch in terms of size of Matt Banahan, who gets in behind him. Nathan L does really well to stop him. Marcus Smith gets involved as well. Then Brady's decision-making goes down the blind side. Little kick in behind. And Mike Brown does well just to put his left boot away and smack it into the north stand.
There's Clark, another one who's made his impact this season.
First lock on by Gloucester, then by
It's been
Quins.
a day when a lot of records, a lot of runs have gone for a Burton. This will be Harlequins' first defeat of 2019. It's going to be Gloucester's biggest ever win at the Stoop, biggest ever. And they don't win here very often. It'll be their first for 13 years. Those handshakes deserved. They've done their job today, as have their charges on the pitch. That last Gloucester team to win here, by the way, in 2006, winning off the back of tries from Pete Richards, Olivier Azam and Jamie Forrester. It was that long ago.
James Forrester, that's a blast from the past, isn't it?
This lot starting to make their own stories. Is this season going to end for them?
Crouch.
Not the end of the world for Quins. They had 7-point buffer going into the weekend, and they will remain comfortably in the playoff places. But what a statement this is from Gloucester.
Knock on by Quins and knock on by White. 2 knock-ons.
2 knock-ons.
And that'll do. Sobering Sunday for Harlequins, a super Sunday for Gloucester. Can they make the playoffs? Might it yet be their year? You betcha. Look at that scoreline. Harlequins 7, Gloucester 29.